For our math lesson today, we are beginning Topic 6, Lesson 3, Interpret Data. Our learning intention is I can interpret organized data. Our Solvent Share begins on page 261. It says 12 students were asked, which vegetable do you like most at lunch? Corn or peas? The list shows their answers. Complete the tally chart and picture graph to show the data. What do these data tell you about what students like? We are going to complete our Solvent Share together. It tells us that we need to complete the tally chart and the picture graph. So let's start with the tally chart. It says favorite lunchtime vegetable, corn, peas. Here we can see the list from which the students answered. We need to go through and count how many students picked corn as their favorite vegetable and how many picked peas. Let's start by counting corn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. On our tally chart, we now need to make 7 tally marks. 1, 2, 3, 4. When it's 5, go diagonal. 5, 6, 7. We should have 7 tally marks for corn. Now let's count how many students chose peas as their favorite lunchtime vegetable. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we put 5 tally marks for peas. Now that we have finished our tally chart, we need to complete our picture graph. In a picture graph, you have to use a picture of the object. Now, I know that I am not the best at drawing. That's okay. I am just going to do my best. I just need all of my symbols to look the same. For corn, I am just going to draw kind of like a corn on the cob and maybe put some rows in it. So my corn is going to look like this. Now your corn, you can draw it however you would like. We know that there are 7 corns, so I have to draw 7 corns. Whoops, 4, 5, 6, 7. They don't have to be perfect, that's okay. So here are my corn. I have 7. So on your paper, you should be filling in your picture graph with 7 corns. All right, double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And now I need to draw in my peas. So I'm just going to draw in some loose peas, like peas out of a can. So I'm just going to put maybe 3 little peas in each one. And each box represents the peas. So I just drew 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 peas in the different boxes. And that is how we would complete our tally chart and our picture graph for our Solvent Share. Now let's watch our animated video to help us follow along the top of our workbook page 262.
Information you collect is called data. A picture graph uses pictures to show data. Analyze. This picture graph shows how many students like milk, water, or juice with lunch. What does the picture graph tell you about what students like to drink at lunch? Plan. We can count and compare what drinks students like best.
Let's count.
Solve, justify, and evaluate. 6 students like milk. 3 students like juice. Only 1 student likes water. By looking at the graph, we can easily see that students like milk better than juice or water with lunch. How many more students chose juice than chose water? Select your answer.
Let's look. 1 student chose water and 3 students chose juice. We can look and see that there are 2 more juice choices than water. So 2 more students chose juice than chose water.
Two more students chose juice than water. How many students voted? Select your answer.
We want to know how many students voted in all. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 students voted for milk, so 6 plus 1, that gives us 7, and 7 plus 3 would give us 10, so 10 students voted total.
Count all pictures in the graph to find out. 10 students voted on their favorite lunch drinks. Now you know how to read a picture graph and use it to answer questions.
Now let's complete our guided practice together, still on page 262. Our guided practice says use the picture graph above to answer the questions. So on your worksheet, you will just look at the graph on that page. On my computer screen, it just shows the question, but on your workbook page, you will see the graph at the top. The graph on the top of your workbook page says the picture graph shows how many students like milk, water, or juice with lunch. What does the graph tell you about what students like to drink at lunch? Now we are going to look at the questions it's wanting us to answer. The first question says how many more students like milk than juice? So if we look at our charts on our workbook page, we will see that 6 students chose milk as their favorite and 3 students chose juice as their favorite. How many more students chose milk than juice? We can see that 3 more students chose milk than juice. Our second question, number 2, says how many fewer students like water than milk? When we look at our picture graph, we can see that 6 students chose milk and only 1 student chose water. We can see that there are 5 more milk cartons than the water bottles, which also means there are 5 less students who chose water than milk. So we would write 5 in our blank. And make sure you're paying attention to your graph on the top of page 262. The last question is how many more students like juice than water? We know that one student chose water as their favorite lunch drink, and 3 students chose juice. So how many more students said that they liked juice more than water? That would be 2 more students. We can see on the picture graph that 1 student chose water and 3 students chose juice. So 2 more students said that they liked juice more than water. Now it's time to begin your independent practice on page 263. So just the next page over in your workbook. Our directions tell us to use the data in the tally chart to answer each question. Question number 4 says use the data in the tally chart to make a picture graph. So for number 4, you are going to look at this picture graph that says our favorite colors. The tally chart shows the favorite colors were red, blue, and purple. What you will do is look under each color, count how many tally marks there are, and then draw that crayon in their area. For example, and you can use your pencil or colored pencils if you have some, or even crayons. For red colors, it says there were 1, 2, 3, 4. So that means I am going to draw 4 crayons in the red category. And they don't have to be perfect. So I would draw 4 red crayons. Then you would count the number of crayons that are blue and color in that same number of blue crayons here, as well as count the number of tallies under purple and color in that number for your picture graph. Now this question can take a few minutes, so now is a good time to pause the video so that you can complete your work on number 4, coloring in your picture graph. When you are ready to work on number 5, press play on the video. To answer questions 5 and 6, you can use the data we see here in the tally chart. Number 5 says how many more students like purple than red? Blank more students. It wants you to count how many students chose red as their favorite color and how many chose purple as their favorite color. Then you will see how many more people chose the color purple than red. Write that number in the blank for number 5. So count how many people chose red and how many people chose purple. Then you can count how many more people said they liked purple than red? Write your number in the blank. For number 6, it says, which color is the favorite of the most students? So look at the data in our tally chart, see which one has the most tally marks, and write the name of the color for number 6. To answer number 7, you will need to use your picture graph. Number 7 says 2 students changed their vote from blue to red. Use this equation to determine how many fewer students like red than purple. It says blank plus 6 equals 8. Write the answer that would go in the blank. Blank plus 6 equals 8. For question number 8, I will give you 2 choices. It is a higher order thinking question. The directions say, write and answer a question about the data in the picture graph. So your picture graph will need to be completed in your workbook. I am going to write a question on the screen, and if you would like to answer my question, you can do that. If you would like to write your own question and answer it, you can also do that. My question is, how many students voted in all? If you would like to, again, answer my question on your workbook page, you could do that. Or if you would like to write and answer your own question, you can also do that. Mine says, how many students voted in all? Then you will write your answer in the blank below. And to finish our math lesson for today, we just have 4 more questions. Our directions tell us to solve each problem below. Number 9 says, look at the tally chart. It says, our pets. There are dogs, cats, and fish. Underneath, we see how many there are for each pet. The question says, how many friends have dogs for pets? So look at dogs on the tally chart and count how many tally marks there are to represent how many friends have dogs for pets. Write your answer in the blank below. It also wants to know how many friends have fish for pets. You will need to look at the tally chart, count the number of fish, and write it in the blank for number 9. Number 10 says, look at the picture graph. How many more friends have dogs than fish? Remember that what we see here in the picture graph is also what we see here in the tally chart. Our first question says, how many more friends have dogs than fish? So look at how many friends have dogs and how many friends have fish. Then count how many more dogs there are than fish and write your answer in the blank. Next it says, how many fewer friends have cats than dogs or fish? We can see that there are 3 cats. There are the 6 dogs and 2 fish. there are 3 more dogs than cats, and 2 of the friends have fish. So we would need to add together the 3 extra dogs and the 2 fish and write our answer here. So what is 3 plus 2? And write it in the blank. On number 11, it says, look at the tally chart in item 9. So that is the tally chart for problem number 9. How many friends have pets? Write an equation to show your work. So on number 11, they want to know the total number of friends that have pets. Show your work below for what numbers you add together to get your answer. So add together all 3 of those numbers. How many friends have dogs, have cats, and have fish? Show your work and the answer below for number 11. Last, for number 12, it says, which question cannot be answered by looking in the graph in item 10? So question 10. And I'll erase our work we did up here. They want to know which question cannot be answered by looking at this graph. So pay close attention. That says which question cannot be answered. Choice A says, how many friends have cats? Choice B says, how many friends have hamsters? Choice C says, how many fewer friends have fish than dogs? And choice D says, how many more friends have dogs than cats? So for number 12, pay close attention to your graph. Think about what animals are in your graph and the data that it shows you. Then choose one of the letter choices and fill in the correct bubble choice. After you have completed answering the rest of your questions, you are all done with your math lesson for today. If you have any questions, please let me know, and I'll see you later.